Hey, what is up, guys? This is Vance from Warframe God Builds, and February just seemed to be the month of betas. So much so that we here at Starcom had the coverage, and we're here to deliver for you a top 5 countdown of games you should and should not purchase in 2016. The games that we advise you to take a look at are going to be mixed in with the games that we advise you to avoid. So let's get into it. In at number 5, we have The Division. The Division seemed to advertise years prior to its launch. The same advertisements would include features that are absent in current state. So, while it is a very beautiful game and a pretty accurate representation of New York City, we found The Division to be as good as a Destiny 2.0, which isn't a good thing. In fact, we kinda cracked down on The Division for having the prestigious Tom Clancy name behind it. That name has a reputation for having a lot of realistic style shooters underneath its belt. The Division sways very far away from realistic. In fact, you could barrel stuff someone with a shotgun and watch as numbers crank out of their heads. They roll backwards and proceed to shoot you, even while they have no armor whatsoever. And speaking of armor, it seems as though people who start the game fresh look exactly the same as veterans of the sport as it is. The Division falls hard and flat on its face, and for that reason, we cannot recommend it, and we would strongly urge you not to spend any amount of money on it whatsoever. Spending said money on it would congratulate the developers for stealing features from you that they promised you initially. But if you're into this type of thing and you enjoy Destiny, then this might be the game for you. Landing in at number 4, we have a game that's probably the most anticipated game on this list. It certainly has the record for the highest crowdfunded game of all time. But unfortunately, it bears a lot in common with The Division in the fact that the reveal trailer for it showcased features that aren't present in its current state. When we first seen the trailer for Star Citizen, we believed that we might be seeing epic-scale dogfighting in space, the likes of Star Wars movies. Instead, what we get is a very subtle and unengaging form of combat in which we see small skirmishes between 3 to 5 planes at a time. The controls are very complex and have such a steep learning curve that we feel as though this game will be dead in 2 years, because it's trying to target a very vast majority of people, but with such lackluster type content, we personally feel as though there won't be a lot of people invested in this game. Now, we feel that it's appropriate to mention that Star Citizen is in alpha still, so there's a lot of things that are subject to change here, and it could very well end up being everything we thought it might be. But we featured it in this countdown simply because there are ships in the game that are available for purchase. However, we recommend that you stay very clear of purchasing anything within Star Citizen up until they release some features that are certainly worth it. Making its way to number 2, we have a game that next to no one knows anything about. And that's unfortunate because it's being developed by indie developers. Guys who worked out of their homes in their spare time. Guys who had jobs and couldn't devote full 100% of their time to this game. Over the course of 9 years, Angels Fall First started as an Unreal Tournament 3 mod. But with sheer willpower and determination, it has come such a long way. In fact, we as Starcom feel as though Angels Fall First is doing right what Star Citizen is doing wrong. The one definitive trait about this game is the fact that, yes, it is like Battlefield 4 in the fact that you have a lot of large-scale Battlefield things going on screen. Jets, helicopters, mechs, jeeps, guns galore, and foot soldiers. But on the flip side, you can also go into outer space, be on flagships, get in other ships, and take over enemy flagships or destroy them. You could dogfight in space, you could pilot these flagships. It's really amazing the amount of detail that they put into this, and the ambition is certainly there. We completely support this game and recommend that you buy it just simply because if it had the attention that Star Citizen had, it would be the be-all, end-all shooter that we've been hoping for since Halo. The only drawbacks to this game is the fact that it's being done by indie developers, so there's a lot of things that are missing that are core and essential to shooters, and we feel as though we should warn you of these things. Guns seem to have no kick in terms of sound, and when enemies are getting hit by your bullets, they don't have any animations that reflect any amount of pain. In fact, when you bring them down, there's no indication that they're dead. There's no kill confirmation. It doesn't show your name next to theirs. But all of these are very, very minor drawbacks in an otherwise really amazing game. A game that's completely surprised us and took us out of our element. We at Starcom highly recommend that you check this one out. Grabbing the Number 2 is a game that's a break from all the shooters and science fiction titles that are coming out. In fact, it's pretty much back to the normal basics of MMORPGs. We didn't hear about writers of Icarus up until the closed beta was already going on, and when we got our hands on the closed beta, we were surprised to find that this game could look so beautiful and yet be so far behind in mechanics. It advertises in all of its trailers as an action MMORPG. Now, it wouldn't be wrong in doing that, other than the fact that it's very misleading. When you get your hands on it, it seems very stiff and operates like every other MMO you've ever played before. It has some elements like Terra, but generally it sticks to a very linear targeting like mechanic in which you run up to the enemy and engage them and proceed to exchange your abilities until one of you dies. The only innovative thing that it does here is include mount combat, but it's too little too late, as the game in our number 1 spot already features mount combat in a big way. So making this the focal point of their game is very lackluster in terms of all the competition that's coming out amongst it. We feel as though writers of Icarus, if it becomes buy to play, won't be worth your time because there's plenty other games that do what it does better than what it does. It's a very mediocre, run-of-the-mill type of game. But just like Star Citizen, this one's also in development, so little to nothing is known about the development of this game and how far it will come. But if you're interested in the prospect of a game revolving solely around mounts, taming them, and incorporating them into combat, then this might be a game to take a look at. Finding its way into the number 5 spot, we have a game that's world-renowned for how innovative it is. That's Black Desert. This might be the best free-roam MMORPG game to date, like, of all time. We don't exaggerate that in the slightest bit. The list of features for this game just goes on and on and on. We could talk for a full 24 hours about the features in this game and still probably not cover 3/4 of it. It's just endless. The customization is unreal, allowing you to pull out individual hair follicles from your character. The combat feels like a slew of other games you've played before. Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden, even God of War. All of the abilities seem to be combo-based, making and triggering cooldowns a whole lot less annoying. Plus, the game is just absolutely gorgeous. If you ever owned Skyrim and you downloaded mods and had it set to ultra graphics, this is what Black Desert looks like by default. We're so confident that this game has absolutely something for everybody that we, without a shadow of a doubt, can say that this is going to be the World of Warcraft killer. Watch out for this game in 2016, because it most likely will make Game of the Year for the next 5 years. And if you don't believe us, check it out. It is one of the most amazing games we've ever played here at Starcom. And this has been our top 5 countdown. If you liked and agreed with the list, maybe hit that like button, share to a friend. If you dislike, well, leave it in the comments and tell us why. And if you're a fan of what we do on a normal basis, which is the Warframe God Builds, feel free to check out our Facebook page in the link in the description.